Alright, this is going to be my last Horizon Zero Dawn video, and I'm doing the quest that is the last DLC quest and involves me to kill all the Fireclaws that have escaped from the cauldron. And I have accelerated the time on these because killing all 5 of these things took about an hour, and I just wanted this video shouldn't be an hour long. But the thing that so the Fireclaw was the boss of the cauldron. Of course, you have to fight him. You have your party, you have your 2 friends, but you had nowhere to hide. But when you find these things out in the wild, you can find places to hide and do sort of a stealthy sniper approach, which of course is my favorite approach. And so my goal setting out was to find all 5 of these things. They're located in different places throughout the DLC, and I wanted to see if I could basically just snipe at them and kill them in an easy battle. So this was the first one I picked, and I found this little spot up here on the mountain. And I've got a lot of Bannock equipment now. I've got my Bannock. I don't know if it's actually Bannock stealth armor. I think it's actually called Nora armor. But you have to buy it with Blue Gleam, so it's like the strongest stealth armor in the game. And I've got the Bannock sniper bow. And I think that with the combination of these 2 things, I think I've actually gotten to a point now where I can basically snipe at anything, because I can get far away enough that it can't see me or hear me, and yet I can still shoot it. Now, the difficulty level might play a factor in that. I've heard that the higher difficulty levels make stealth harder. So it's possible that if I was to try the same thing on, say, ultra hard, he would be seeing me right now, rather than not seeing me. But as it is on easy, he's not seeing me, even when I shoot him. So I can just shoot him over and over again. He has shoulder pads that if you hit them, they'll explode and fire. And he has like an underbelly that if you hit that, it'll explode and fire. So most of my shots were trying to get those things to blow up, but I didn't always get them. Now something happens here. I think there's an NPC down there that he starts to fight. I think it's just a guy that was walking along the street. That kind of messed everything up, because somehow that alerted him to me, and so I had to run away. But since we're out in the world, it was easy to just loop around and come right back. And I found some Blue Gleam up here that I didn't even know was here. I didn't even know Blue Gleam existed in the wild until just now. I thought it was only a reward in quests. So I'm going to take a few more shots. And you can see I've got his health down to about a third. So at this point, having beaten this now, I've finished everything that I think I plan to do in this game. I might play a New Game Plus, I'm not sure about that, but in terms of the game itself, I've done everything that I care to do. There are a few more things that I could potentially do. I don't have 100%. There are collectibles of different types that I don't have. And in terms of quests, I've done everything except the hunting challenges. I just really don't like the time challenges. And I really think that some of the gold medals or whatever the highest award is are just not going to be practical for me to get. You have to be able to do things in very, very short amount of time. I just don't see that happening. So, I think that's it. I think I'm ready to fight the final boss. I traded in all my Blue Gleam. I bought as much stuff as I possibly could. Trying to get all the equipment that I might want to have in New Game Plus. I've got a Bannock sniper bow, I've got a Bannock war bow, and I've got my armor. Of course, if I played a New Game Plus, one thing I might want to try doing is using some different weapons, especially the 3 weapons that you get here in the DLC, because those are kind of interesting. And here, he actually does find me here for a minute, and then I have to run away again. Do the exact same thing, just loop around, come right back. But yeah, the 3 weapons that you get here in the DLC, and then you upgrade them, I haven't even tried them, but they seem like they're pretty well designed. They're supposed to, like, they both have I think one is fire, one is ice, and one is lightning, and all three seem to have the ability to take standard damage as well. So if you're wearing it, you can like shock a guy and then take damage. You can burn a guy and then take damage, or you can freeze a guy and then take damage without having to trade out weapons. That seems pretty handy. Plus, I imagine they just look cool to use. But so far for me, I'm just, I don't know, using the bow and the spear. But I'll take all of it into the DLC in case I have an opportunity to use it. And that's assuming, I'm sorry, take it into New Game Plus. And that's even assuming I want to do New Game Plus. It seems like I have been playing this game now for, I have been playing it for 100 hours, and I've packed those 100 hours into just, I don't know, 1 or 2 months. I'm playing a lot, and I'm kind of actually looking forward to having a break with no game to play. And there's one dead Fireclaw. I think what actually finally killed him was burn damage. I caught him on fire. So here I'm going to dispose of some old modifications so I can add the new ones that he gave me. And then I'm going to search the map and find the next Fireclaw. And the next one's over here. Now here there are some tramplers, and so that are among the Fireclaw. And so the first thing I tried to do was override the tramplers and see if they would fight with the Fireclaw. And they did. Well, one of them did. The one I overrode did. But the problem is he didn't do any damage. I knew he was going to die because he would be fighting not only the Fireclaw but a couple other tramplers. But he just did really, really bad. Here I am overriding him, and then I run away to watch. And in the preceding fight, he just gets killed, and the Fireclaw is left with like full HP. So I thought maybe I could try overriding another one, but I just decided to go for plan B instead, which was to repeat what I did in the last battle and just look for high ground to shoot the guy. And so I'm up against the edge of the map here, and there's like a really steep hill. So I just climbed all the way up it. And then I got to a point that looked like it was probably too steep for the thing to follow me, although I'm not sure. Maybe he could have followed me up here, maybe he couldn't have. But what I discovered was that it really didn't matter because he never really came to look. You know, he had the little yellow circle, and it would wear off, and then I'd shoot him again, and then it would wear off, and then I would shoot him again. And I'm so far away from him that he just couldn't reasonably look this far away. And I think this is really the benefit of this equipment, of having this bow that can shoot this far, and having this armor that can keep me invisible this far. You know, this close, I should say. So again, I don't know if this would work on like ultra hard mode, but certainly on easy mode this worked to kill this bear. So yeah, I'm looking forward to taking a break from this game, but I just want to, you know, so this is my last video, I want to make some general comments about this game. I don't know if I've communicated this enough in my prior videos, but, you know, after 100 hours and being almost done, I just have the one final battle left. I really, really like this game. Now, I think some of my enthusiasm for it is because I'm just finished playing it. I'm tempted to say I like it even more than I like Breath of the Wild, which I played last year. I don't know if I really do. They're very different, you know. And when I was playing Breath of the Wild, I remember people would always talk about how Breath of the Wild was so much different from open world games, how it didn't have the fetch quests and it didn't have kind of all the usual stuff that this game does have. And so I went into this game with kind of a prejudice, like, you know, it's just a fetch quest game, or it's not going to be as good. But I found that it was a fetch quest game, but it was great. It was great, and I'm not quite sure. There's the second Fireclaw dead. I'm not quite sure why. I mean, I think the quests were all... Like, this game was not lazily done. You know, each quest was thought out. They were complicated. They were prolonged. They told little stories. It was not as simple as just, you know, I left my bag over in this cave, go get it for me. Like, there were a lot of interesting details. Here's the third one. To all the quests, I had a great time doing all of them. And I think, you know, like, this next Fire Bear actually kind of is a good representative of what I love so much about this game. The hunting aspect of this game. Like, I know where this thing is. I can see it on the map. So I'm checking the map. I'm going to try to approach it from the high ground so that I have a strategic advantage. So I'm out here getting ready to approach it. At some point, I think I see a... yeah, that thing. And I'm worried about that thing causing me trouble. That's a stalker there, so I'm just going to kill it quickly before I continue. But it's like, I feel like I'm on a true hunt here, you know? And this game, you know, that was something that Zelda didn't quite have, Breath of the Wild didn't quite have. But this game really did, and I absolutely love the way that if you can find a strategic environmental advantage, they just let you have it. You know, they're not trying to, like, thwart you at every stop. Like, they're not trying to make, like, you see a place you'd like to go, oh, it's not accessible, you can't get up there, or, you know, there's some built-in reason. I mean, look what I found here. I found this little spot on a mountain. I'm really high up. There's no way that thing is going to be able to climb up here to where I am. So I just start shooting them. And they just give me this. That's the other thing. Like, this game isn't trying to force you to do it any particular way. And it's not trying to force you to do it the hardest way. You know, this game, I talked a lot about how, like, Dark Souls has lets the player set the challenge by the choices they make. Whether they summon people, how many bonfires they kindle, that sort of thing. And this game has it the same way. Now, this game does have, you know, difficulty levels that you can select, but even within those difficulty levels, there are choices you can make. You know, so many of these battles can be fought through either a high-risk way or a low-risk way. If you do the preparation, I don't know why I paused here for a minute, but if you do the preparation, and if you search out an environmental, you know, basically try to get to high ground. I mean, that's really what the environmental things usually are. You get to high ground, you get to a place where you're out of their reach, and then you shoot them. And this game isn't trying to, like, stop you from doing that. In fact, I think it's intentionally giving you these spots that you can do this from. And it does it for most of the enemies. There are occasional bosses that you have to fight in a risky way, including main game bosses. So this isn't something that you can just you can't just cheese your way through this entire game. But you know, if this is what you like doing, then they let you do it. And I thought this Fireclaws quest was almost like a gift. Because I just had so much fun doing this. I had so much fun just finding these high spots and just shooting at these things, especially after the tough boss battle I had fought in the Cauldron. It felt so good for me to have the advantage over these things and for them to not have. Like in the Cauldron, it was like they had the advantage. But here, it's like, now you're on my turf. I have the advantage. And I like that. This thing's almost dead. But so what else is great about this game? You know, the experience of getting to go on hunts, the experience of, you know, problem solving, thinking your way through some of these areas if you don't want to just run in and mash R1. The quests themselves were really good, and then of course the story, you know. I mean, this is the best video game story I've ever seen. I haven't played a lot of games, so maybe that's not saying much, but, you know, compared to all the Final Fantasy game, I mean, the Final Fantasy stories are nothing like this. I play a lot of Nintendo. Nintendo stories are nothing like this. Breath of the Wild. You know, this is just a really great, cool sci-fi story, and I don't know if they could have made a movie out of it. They'd probably have to lose a lot of the details. Maybe a mini-series. Maybe they can make a show out of this or something, but there we go. 3 of these guys dead. But it was a really cool sci-fi story, and it was actually, I was thinking about this, it was actually a sci-fi concept that I had never seen before. I think it's an old sci-fi concept that people discover evidence of advanced civilization that lived on their own planet. Like, in the past, there was this more advanced civilization. I can't really name anything offhand, but I feel like that's an older idea. But what's new, I think, is the idea that this advanced civilization that lived in the past, everything they built is dead and destroyed, as it would be with the passage of time, except for artificial intelligence that they had made. That's new. And I think it's a really cool but sort of obvious idea. Like, yeah, if we made a bunch of robots, and particularly if we made programs that didn't necessarily need one body to live in, they could actually be transferred around from different vessels. Sure, as long as those things were operating, those things could live a long time. And they could interact with, you know, future human beings after all the present human beings have died. Of course, this game does take some liberties with the story. Like, it was a little bit ridiculous. I thought that they dug the corruptor up out of the ground and it was immediately ready to fight. Like, it was oiled up, it had electricity, its parts hadn't all been, like, corroded. But whatever, it's still a pretty cool idea. And, you know, just discovering, I avoided all spoilers for this game, and so learning all the different bits and pieces as they went along, you know, with the first you learn about the Pharaoh Horde, and then you learn about Gaia. You've got the mystery of silence running in the background. All these different little bits and pieces to learn about. And they do a really good job of giving you a little bit, and then making you interested to keep playing, and then giving you a little bit and a little bit more. This here is the final battle with the Fireclaws. There's 2 at this location. And they give you an NPC friend, the same guy that went into the cauldron with you. He's back to help. But I didn't need him because one of the first things I realized when I got here was that one of these Fireclaws is not demonic. And I think it was absolutely intentional that he not be demonic so that the player could either corrupt him or override him. And I decided to corrupt him because that's safer. So as soon as I realized he was not demonic, I got my corruption arrows out. I haven't been able to use these much lately because all these demonic things cannot be corrupted. It took me a while to learn how this had to work. Basically, I had to hit him with 4 corruption arrows. So that would require one shot of 3, and then a follow-up with just 1. But that's how much corruption it would take to get him inflicted, and then he would start battling his friend. This is probably the best example you could ever ask for of seeing how the game offers you know, different types of difficulty. Like, you can do what I'm doing here. And obviously it's intentional because these guys could have both been demonic. Or you could run out there with your friend and actually try to fight these 2 guys. And what a fight that would be. I mean, even just the one was a totally epic, you know, battle inside the cauldron, and now here's 2. So if you're just like a combat master, you know, you can come here and you could fight them both. And you could do it on ultra hard. And wouldn't that be an impressive thing to do? But if you want to, you can do it this way too. And of course, this is the way I chose. Look at Aloy just sitting there. I really like the character of Aloy. It took me a long time. She had to grow on me. In the beginning, I remember thinking that the child version of Aloy just looked really weird. And then even Aloy herself looked really weird when I first started looking at her. But maybe now I'm just used to it after all these hours, but she looks much more like a normal human being to me now than she did in the beginning. And I like the way she worked out, you know. I think they balanced her pretty well. Like, of course, she's like, you know, she's tough and bold and takes no crap, but she's also sort of a kind-hearted person and, you know, just genuinely sort of good all around. She's got some funny wit, but it's never obnoxious, and there was really never any point where I disliked her. And one thing that I thought was kind of cool about this game with Aloy and the plot was the way that it didn't take too long before Aloy had a great confidence that was just simply based on things she had already done. So every time she encountered a new quest, the NPC would be like, I don't know, there's these really tough monsters, I don't think you can do it. She's like, I can do it. And of course she could. She knew it because she had already done like 10,000 quests at this point. She already killed 10,000 monsters. She knew what she could do. I think the controls for this game were really great. At first the climbing I thought was kind of weird. At first it felt limiting, like they were trying to limit what you could climb. But then later I saw that it was more about exploration in a different way. Not like Breath of the Wild where you can just climb anywhere, but in discovering where there are places to climb. You know, you have to be attentive. Even right before I did this, I went and tried to find some blue gleam in the wild. And there was a place, there's like this road you walk by, there's like a bonfire, and there's a cliff to the right. And if you're just walking up the road, you never would notice that this cliff has climbing holds. But if you did notice it, and you climbed up the climbing holds, you would find a bunch of blue gleam up there. So there was like a reward for being attentive, and I think this game had that. You can see here these two guys are almost dead, fully having just killed each other. So I guess that's it. You know, this was an amazing game. I really had a great time playing it. I think it opened my mind to the idea that I should try more of these greatest hits. You know, Witcher 3 didn't work out, but this one really did. And, you know, just because it's not Square, just because it's not Nintendo, doesn't mean that it couldn't end up being a really great game. And especially these ones that are older and they're $20, I should try more of them just to see if something sticks. I think I might do God of War next, but I'm not sure. But that's it. Fantastic. Really love this game. Killed 5 Fireclaws, and I'm excited to beat it. Coming up soon.